My name is Marc. I'm a deaf man. I live in Tacoma. I'm originally from Pittsburgh. Over the years, I'm 63 years old. I've done my share of editorial commentary in newspapers and magazines. I want to address a situation going on right now in the United States of America. I got my voter's pamphlet today. Pertains to the vision of the world that we're losing. It is ours to cherish. It's part of American heritage. I was in D.C. with a Netanyahu type attorney. He was the second highest ranking Jewish attorney at a school of law at the University of Pittsburgh. The faculty for whom had designed Reagan's Federal Emergency Management Agency Constitution with Wesley Posworth. Pitt had me in D.C. that day. Reagan came out and waved to me and then claimed he was shot. And they gave me a brochure that says there's no such thing as objective reality, only what the jury believes. They laughed at the only link between Mark David Chapman, who they say shot John Lennon, and John Hinckley, who they say shot Reagan. It's me, and I don't even know how that could be. And they keep it secret. I'm a little boy from Bush's ship in the Navy. My father was in human rights. He was a school bus driver. In a normal world, the discovery that Lennon pulled a Houdini and Reagan faked an assassination attempt on himself would get around fast and with sufficient force that it registered on people that this happened. But we're dealing with Axis Hollywood. Clint Eastwood and Ringo Starr do not care about the truth. They're after a story that favors them and sells for them. For them, stories are a form of magical religion. Now, most of us are at sea about Gaza. We ask how it could possibly be that student safety, children welfare, ancient churches, people, an entire people, unarmed, unprovocative, friendly, distinguished, humane, and literate, could be being pulverized by psychotics calling themselves Zionists in our name. Let me explain a few reminders about why it would be that we wouldn't be able to foresee this. Because if we had foreseen this, most of us knew about Palestine, some of us knew about the West Bank and Gaza. We knew that Jimmy Carter had tried to make peace with Egypt and Israel. We knew some of the history of Israel's foundation. We probably saw something about the Holocaust on TV when we were little. I grew up in a Jewish Holocaust survivor community, so I heard quite a lot more than most people and read very deeply into the subject. We may have heard about East Jerusalem, Jericho. When the mindlessness and the criminality of Donald Trump interfered, we still assumed that conscientious diplomacy was holding it together. When suddenly, out of the blue, we saw our names pulverized and demolished with the children of Gaza. And we're wondering, how can this be? Well, Marc Lamont Hill came closest to expressing what we're losing and maybe what we've lost, because the most precious thing in the universe is the faith of the human race. And we had built a belief in ourselves on intellectual heritage. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the Civil Rights Movement, Martin Luther King, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And despite the fact that it played out against our compromises, against the background of our compromises, when Marc Lamont Hill said it is an outrage that a president of the United States should darken the doors of a sacred church in America with his program of genocide in the wings. An outrage. He knew that what we're losing is the spiritual foundation of a better heritage in the United States, which owes far more than has ever been admitted by this young 200-year-old nation, much to the Muslim world. That's right. The United States of America owes much of our Constitution to the Muslim world. You ask, how could that be true, Mr. Creary? You think you're some kind of professor. Well, the Muslims are the ones who rescued the Greeks from the Dark Ages. And they gave the Greeks back to the medieval church, the men who are my heroes, like Erasmus. And Erasmus used the Greeks to write his introduction to his translation of the New Testament. Had it not been for the Muslims, the Greeks might not have survived the Dark Ages. When Israel pulverized the third oldest church on earth, it was slightly damaged at first. It's been pulverized since. The people who lived there were completely at sea. How could it be? Western media is standing there proclaiming its intellectual heritage as Christian and bombing the third oldest church on earth. How could it be? Marc Lamont Hill spoke for the better half of the human race. He spoke to the faith in the human experience and goals on earth. Now, America's credibility has suffered a grievous blow. And the countries that have formed and united behind alternative multipolar worlds should be cheered. We should wish them well, for they are part of the brotherhood of man. But we cannot take lightly the fact that Netanyahu supported Hamas for a long time, and then the Hamas must have known this kind of blowback was coming. How could the people who were investing in the Ukraine not know that they had pushed the limits of Russian tolerance? There are hidden transcripts in all of this. Gail Burstyn, the author of the school book, was never arrested. People are still led to believe the story of her school book, despite the fact that the people they claim she victimized are her partners. This can be resolved by understanding the meaning of the so-called nature of reality movement. The chauvinism of militarism behind the brochure, there's no such thing as objective reality, only what the jury believes. They're tricking people. Not Impoda Houdini. And what they claim is a brutal nature of reality where might makes right is destroying and poisoning the entire world. Our climate is coming unglued. Our species are going extinct. They don't know anything about the nature of reality. They're just survivalists. They're unworthy of leadership. We need to understand, despite the fact that it plays out against the background of our compromises, that Marc Lamont Hill spoke for what was best in all of us.